Okay, we'll call the September 8th meeting to order. Real quick, I'd like to introduce Cadence Jones. Cadence is from Farson Eden High School. She's our student representative this month, and so Cadence, welcome. If you have questions, comments during any of this, please feel free to chime in and pipe up and give us your perspective.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, if you'll please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, for our education corner this month, I'm going to take just a quick minute and talk about credit recovery versus credit recapture. I know we've had a lot of conversations on this line as it pertains to the student handbook. And so first and foremost, I want to thank Mr. Sorensen for setting up a meeting with the high school admin that I was able to attend with him. It was super informative. And on that note, thank Mr. Akers, Mr. Straka, and Ms. McMartin for their time, their willingness to answer our questions, and for the constructive conversation. They even said that these two terms often get interused and not properly, and even by people who are in the day-to-day line of work. So I feel like this is pretty important information. So credit recovery is retaking a failed class, either in Friday school or summer school, and it only pertains to your core classes. So we did get a little bit of data. In 23-24 school year, 415 credits were earned through credit recovery. In the 24-25 school year, 166 credits were earned through credit recovery. We'll talk about the significant drop in a minute, but I think it's important to highlight that high school admin's desire for students to earn their credits during the school year and avoid credit recovery are really high. Their expectation is that they show up to school to get their credits. We had 65 students who got totally caught up this past summer through credit recovery. I think it's important to highlight that high school admin shared some examples that made total sense to Josh and I as to why this program needs to be offered, aside from the fact that it is a WASHA requirement. The program truly allows students the opportunity to catch up to their peers and succeed with their high school education. This was also interesting. Credit recovery is not GPA recovery. Any credit earned through credit recovery will maintain an F on the student's transcript, but will show that they have passed the course later. We also got to see Edmentum, which is the software being used for today's credit recovery program. So just a really high level Edmentum, the student starts with a pretest to show what they know, and then the course adjusts accordingly. The students then go through each section of learning and have to pass a final test in order to move forward. The students are not allowed to take the computer home to work through the program, and Google is now blocked by our technology department on the computer, so they can't just search up the answers. Teachers in our district track the progress of the student to verify they are progressing appropriately. Students have to finish the full class to get the credit. They're not just working to clear the 60% bar. So Mr. Sorensen and I felt pretty good with a lot of the changes that have been made recently when it comes to credit recovery. And I feel like the high school's on a nice track for really incentivizing students. I know some of the feedback was some of the students this year were, man, this was really hard. I don't want to find myself here again. And that's not always been the mentality that's come out of summer school. So that's pretty neat. Okay, so that's credit recovery. On the other hand is credit recapture. Credit recapture is a plan that gives students 2 weeks after the end of the quarter to bring their grade up. This applies to some electives and core classes, but there are additional guidelines for this process. For a student to do recapture, they must have achieved between 40 and 59% in the class, and the teacher has to agree to let them do the recapture process. If they are allowed to participate, the teacher gets to set the standard that the student needs to meet in order to pass. The student is presented with a contract prepared by the teacher that must be signed by the teacher, the student, and the parent. The 40% baseline to participate in credit recapture is not spelled out in the student handbook, but it is on the actual contract that the student must sign to be a part of that process. And this allows the high school admin the flexibility that they need to deal with the case-by-case situations. So I just thought that was a little bit of informative information between those two processes. Josh, is there anything else you'd want to add to that?
No, I think the biggest thing I came away from me with our admin, and not that we assumed it, but it's quite obvious that our administration does not want to see kids in credit recovery nor credit recapture. And that made me feel a lot better. Not, you just wonder sometimes if it's just the easy route, but it's not. Summer school, like he said, is hard. I thought it was interesting that if you do credit recovery and you work through the class and you're at 60%, you can't stop. You still have to finish the whole class, which I thought was great. So students aren't just trying to get above 60% and then quit. They've got to finish the whole class, which also makes it a little more challenging to earn that credit, which I really appreciated that.
Thank you, and thanks again for the meeting. With that, we'll move on to superintendent highlights. Dr. Libby.
Good evening, everyone. So Chair Wright already stole my beginner. I was going to introduce Cadence Jones. So no, we appreciate it because you got a pass to be down here because you're supposed to be at volleyball practice.
Yes.
So
Excited.
yeah, so Cadence will be with us for the next 3 months. So you can skip out on practice at least once a month. One of the things we're going to talk about right here at the beginning is I always start with the attendance. So attendance at the beginning of the month was 4766. Preschool was 198. We were down 116, I think the number was from May. And we're going through to try to figure out, is it our graduating class? Did we graduate more than we have as kindergartners coming in? So I'm trying to do a little bit of a deeper dive into where our 116 went. Because at the end of the previous year, if you go back, or well, I can go back and look at where we finished out. And we finished out at just under 4876. So we've got some kids that somewhere over the summertime have not come back to us yet. So I'm kind of interested as to where they went. First thing on the report is first day of school events. So I had a chance for first day of school events to start at Farson. Right here, now it's on.
Okay.
So want to tell us about what your thoughts were for first day of school up in Farson?
Yes. So we have a K-12 school, obviously, as you all know. So our elementary enters through the back and our middle school and high school enters through the front. So we split our student body, student council, and we have half introduce and welcome and high fives and whoopee, like Happy New Year, like everybody be ready for the new year situation through the middle school and high school part. And then we have another group that introduces to the elementary part. And then our community is driven by sports. So we have volleyball and football players as well down in the elementary. So that's really exciting because everybody's all happy and it's very magical, as Dr. Livy would say. And then we've just implied something new in Farson. It's called Reach. And that's really nice because it gives kids the opportunity to, if they need help or like a little you're behind in an assessment or something like that, then you can go and you can spend time with your teacher doing that. And if you aren't caught up with everything, then you can do something called your personal project. And that's been super great. Some girls already learned how to play a guitar. Somebody's already learning Spanish. Somebody's trying to plan a trip to go to Greece. Like it's all sorts of different things. So it gives the kids a little more leeway, and it's been great. Yes.
That's fantastic. And I think that REACH project was something that Ms. Rosanico had spoken about previously last year, and it started to roll out through this year for the new senior class, correct?
Yes.
So that's fantastic. Other first day events, Ms. McDonald had put out pictures across all the first day events across the school district. Once again, Rock Springs High School athletics and activities folks were out at our elementary schools and all of our other schools across the district. We had the band down at Eastside, cheerleaders out, football team, and it was another fantastic event bringing everybody back into the school. It went so well 2 years ago. We decided to do it again this coming year. Transportation really got on board, and we had it all planned out to get everybody where they needed to be. We had another starter that we got a lot of positive feedback on was Meet the Drivers event. So at the elementary school, our drivers went out to the elementary schools so that the parents could meet the drivers. We've had this conversation. I had it last year. I'll have it again this year. Our drivers can make a day or make or break a kid's day. when they get onto the bus, those drivers see those students when they're coming on, and they know if they're in a good mood, or they know if they're ready to go for the day, and they know if they're not. And if they're having a bad day, they can let the school know when they get there to say, hey, so-and-so is having a rough day. Just wanted to give you a heads up. They're also the last person to see those kids at night. So when those kids are getting off the bus, those drivers know, is somebody in a good mood? Did they have a good day? That's fantastic. If they didn't, when they get back, they can call the school. They can let somebody know and say, hey, heads up. So-and-so got off the bus today and it didn't look like it was a great day. You may want to check in with them tomorrow to see how they're doing. So it was really exciting to see Mr. Busanelli and his team go out and do that at all the schools. We got a ton of really positive feedback for that. So next one, FBLA. So we do have FBLA here with us. Where y'all at? You don't have to stand up, but you can raise your hand. Or you can stand up if you want. All right, there you go. So future business, there you go. Come on now, future business leaders of America. Here we go. So FBLA supports the walk to end Alzheimer's here in town. And the students assisted with registration, gaining hands-on experience at the event, managing and learning about the important legal considerations that go along with the event. They engaged with the community booths, distributed informational materials to educate others about Alzheimer's, ran game booths interacting with attendees, and sold raffle tickets, all raising money for the event itself. And then you just got back from the University of Wyoming and you had a campus tour.
Yes.
And did you also meet with the business department over there? Did you meet with the college over there, or was it just a tour of the campus?
So we got to do a tour of the campus, learn about the registration process, the importance of the ACT and SAT scores and their GPA and how that contributes to earning scholarship. And we also got a chance to look at some of the programs. The kids got to go to a UW campus football game, so they got to feel like what it was to live as a campus student on a Saturday. They got to experience all of that. And it hits one of the core pillars of the Future Business Leaders of America, which is the college and career readiness, helping them think about what they want to be and where they want to go after high school.
So you were at this last home game win?
Just this Saturday, we were
Just
at
this-
their first home game. Go Pokes! They beat the Northern Iowa Panthers.
Yeah.
Everyone said, excellent job.
Yeah, another Iowa team that didn't fare so well. So that's all right. That's all right. We don't talk about you and I much. So thank you so much. And again, just another organization in our community that reaches out and does well for supporting the rest of our community as a whole. So thank you so much for being involved with all that work. So junior high. So I've got some junior high news. And I think I saw Mr. Lott come in. So if I mess this up, he can correct me. We had a conversation earlier in the year, and there was information that went out to the high school that we had to drop the JV football team because of our numbers. And that's a little disappointing. So in the conversation with Miss Lewis and Mr. Lott, we started to have conversations. Well, our numbers at the junior high are relatively large. What's going on? Well, they got to cut. And let's not do that, right? Let's try to keep as many of our kids engaged at the junior high level so that they have opportunities and experiences as they move forward. So the more we can get playtime, the more that we can get them out there, the more they're engaged as they move into 9th grade, 10th grade, and then on up the road, we have more kids that can actively engage. So we kind of put Mr. Lott to task and said, hey, may not be able to do this with football, but you may be able to do this with volleyball and the basketball seasons. Let's see if we can expand those programs, get some more games, have some more levels of our teams so that we have either 2A teams, 2B teams, 2C teams. There were 50 girls that went out for 7th grade volleyball. We added 2 additional 7th grade coaches. We had 26 girls go out for volleyball in 8th grade. We added 1 more additional coach so that we could engage all those kids in those athletic programs. And we could keep them engaged as we move forward. Mr. Lott is still continuing with the basketball for boys and girls basketball to add more games and add more programs. So at the junior high level, we're not strapped by conference. We don't have to play just within our own program. So if we have teams around us that we normally play, but we can grab a game with Kimmer, or we can grab a game with Rollins, or we can grab other games and go up to Farson and play up there and grab games there. We can do that at the junior high level because we're not connected to Washington in a space where we have to play within the conference. So I really appreciate Mr. Lott and Miss Ms. Lewis for looking into us and allowing us to expand these programs and keeping more of our kids engaged. Because we know as our kids are more engaged in athletics and activities at school, the better off they are academically. So I'm really excited about those opportunities for those kids. And thank you so much for that last minute challenge we threw on your plate. I think the second day of school? Yeah, yep. You're welcome. Rock Springs is having a flag contest. This came out from Mr. Mickelson, the mayor. He sent us some communications that we pushed out through Ms. McDonald's, the Rock Springs flag contest. The city of Rock Springs is inviting all K-12 students to take part in the youth flag design contest. The theme is many cultures, one community, Rock Springs together. There's a grand prize. So if you haven't seen this yet, winning students' design will become the new official city flag, and they will receive a $500 cash prize. The deadline for submission is October 15th of this year, and this is a great opportunity for students to showcase their creativity and school pride and love of their community. So we sent this out to all building administrators, and I believe that they forwarded to all the art teachers. So if you are artistically inclined and would like to get involved in that, make sure you talk to your administrators, your art teachers at your buildings. A few more just updates here. Major maintenance. The major maintenance plan is coming to the board early. It's going to come in October. The state changed the date for when the major maintenance plan has to be approved. They moved it up 4 months. So Mr. Celaroli is going to have that plan ready and prepared for the October board meeting. We have October 21st and 22nd is the district accreditation, where the state comes in and does our accreditation plan. There will be dinner that night for folks that are staying for that. And then our October informational topic, we have board goals and we have local legal counsel conversation that's going to come up for October. So if you have any questions around local legal counsel that we use, or you have ideas for what board goals should be moving forward, which would then be those goals that I work on throughout the school year, please send me your input, and I will gather that information so that we can share that back, so that we can have information ready to go for those informationals for the August or the October board meeting. And with that, that's the end of my report. We do have YTOP summary coming up. We've got another board agenda for that, so we do have some YTOP information we're going to talk about.
Would you like to also cover our change or proposed change in our fourth Thursday of every month meeting
yes.
being in a public?
That's right. So I've had this idea for a while that we get together, Mr. Wright and I get together on the fourth Thursday just to visit. We have folks that come in if they want to. If they don't want to, they can set up other times, but it's just the time for us to visit before we have the agenda. And sometimes it's hard for people to get here, and sometimes this isn't the most comfortable place for some folks to come for whatever reasons. So I went and reached out to some local businesses on those Thursdays. So on those 4 Thursdays, we're now going to kind of be a traveling band, and we are going to go out into the community, and we are going to just find a spot to sit down and visit for about half an hour, 45 minutes, or whatever time we have out in the community. And we will let folks know where we're going to be ahead of time. I stopped down at the Bike and Trike on Broadway, and so they've got a coffee shop. It's actually, it's really good. So our first meeting at the end of this month on that Thursday, that 4th Thursday, we're going to be down at Bike and Trike, and there's tables in front. There's another group that meets during the same time that kind of sets off to the corner. So Jason has to make sure that we don't cause any issues, but there's plenty of space down there. We're just going to stop down and visit. And if folks want to come in and find us, they're more than welcome just to stop in and have a conversation as we visit out in the community. And then the following month in November, I'll find another new spot, and we'll just keep hopping around the community and enjoying some new places and spaces that are open at that time. And if we run out of morning breakfast places, we'll see if we can catch lunch, and folks can come and join us for lunch. So thank you.
Yep, thank you. So we'll move forward to board reports. A few things I'd like to highlight. So we talked about doing another book study. I've done some research and I have a few to propose to you guys. What I'd like to do is have you look into them before the October board meeting, and we'll come back and vote on which one you think would behoove us best to move forward with. So the first book's called The Knowledge Gap by Natalie Wexler, and it talks about how kids learn matters more than we think. Or the other book I'd propose is How Children Succeed by Paul Tuff, which looks at the importance of cognitive skills like perseverance and grit. So if you guys will take a look at those and come back with your opinion next month, that'd be awesome. Also, WSBA is including a 4 1-hour virtual sessions for school school finance recalibration through advocacy with our legislature. So basically how to talk to legislators and have those important conversations. They're following that up with an in-person workshop at the Hilton Garden Inn in Casper, October 18th from 10 to 3. Be awesome if anybody can be there. I won't be able to, but please try to attend the 4 1-hour virtual sessions. I think this is a super important topic for us moving forward, and something we can all do from wherever we're at. So
October 18th.
yes,
I'll be in Casper for state marching band.
there you go. Jump over there. Awesome. Thanks. That if you need that link to register for those workshops or whatever, let me know and I'll get it over to you. And then the other thing, I think we've talked about this, but the 2025 WSBA annual conference will be held November 19th to 21st in Casper. Ms. Schumacher, Mr. Sorensen, myself, and Ms. Wood, I think went to that last year. Awesome experience, as we all agree. So please, if that's something you're able to get to, plan on that. The one thing I will say, and this is kind of new to me, but we do have the ability as a board to propose any resolutions that we might want to send to a greater state level. So if you have something on your mind that you would like to have a conversation about and submit up, please, talk to me or let's get together and have that conversation. That's all I have for board reports. I'll open it up to the rest of you.
Just to add to Dr. Libby's report, I was going to bring it up, but my understanding is, and I saw it in my own daughter, when they try out for volleyball in 7th grade, if they get cut, many of those girls will never try another sport again. And so I want to commend you for pushing that way. As big a high school as we are, all of our competing high schools have 2 junior highs flowing into them. So to create that effective 2As, 2Bs has been something I've always thought would be great. Develop more talent and more love for those games. And so thank you for pushing that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think the other pieces is when we looked at doing 2A teams and 2B teams, instead of it being, we wanted to keep it fair. So it's a random draw. Names go into hats, kids are assigned numbers are pulled, and teams are divided. So it's not, there isn't, and there shouldn't be an A level if it's the school colors or they're black and gray. Your black team or your gray team should not be significantly higher. It's a random draw as to what those teams are. And then if we get down to it, even where we talked about football, if we have the capabilities of doing it, if we get down to where we have to have a conference play, because there is conference play for some of those trophies, then we can pull the teams together and you can have a team to play in that, unless the conference allows us because of our numbers to play 2 teams. But it's supposed to be random, and it's supposed to give these kids just plenty of time to get out on the court and really enjoy a love of the sport and to build their skill sets so that we can move them forward into high school and they can continue to find their success. So I'm really excited about keeping kids active in school.
And is this on?
Mhm.
Okay. I would also like to thank you and Mr. Lott for doing the same. I mean, I have talked to 7th graders who made the C team, and they are just absolutely thrilled. And they are honestly students that if they didn't make the C team, they probably would have never gone back to tryouts next year or any other sport in the school. So it was really awesome to see that. Not to mention, it's just one of those things. I agree with all of that. The biggest thing is with young kids at this age is that they are developing. And so they may not be as developed as some 7th graders at this point, but come 9th to 10th grade, they may be the best on the team. And so it's just awesome to be able to see that. And I'm really excited to watch it happen with all the programs at that level and hopefully carry it into the high school as well. So very excited.
I'm waiting for the staff in the district challenge to come over and have a staff for students volleyball teams, because they're going to have enough of us, kind of keep us hopping over here too, and keep the staff hopping with getting a game against some of the students, so that we can get folks moving.
I also want to add that I have talked to a few people in regards to the ninth grade center, and I've heard some great positive feedback with it. I had one mom who actually came up to me. She was 100% on board with the absolute dislike of the ninth grade center. She joined a few group discussions in regards to that. Then she decided that she was going to go to the open house and everything that was offered by the school. She said she felt a little better about it as a mom. But then moving forward, she said that her kid attended the first few weeks, and she was absolutely thrilled to hear that her child loved the program, was really excited to continue out throughout the school year with it. And so that was one specific mom, but I've heard a lot of feedback on it, and always things to fix per usual. That's just life. It's the beginning of a program. But with that also being said, a lot of positive feedback too.
You never have to apologize for Guns N' Roses. I can name that tune. Yeah. Thank you so much for those comments. Dr. Nedro and her team out there have done such a great job of building that environment and that atmosphere. They did make some changes on the entrances and exits for lunch, so that they, instead of passing each other in the doorways, they kind of cycle around each other. But getting in and out of that building, it's doing exactly what we wanted it to do. There's smaller class sizes. There's focus on the relationship. There's more focus on the academics. It's not always quiet, but education isn't always quiet. But it's made some significant changes straight across the board, and we're really excited to see how far we can move our ninth grade forward, because we know that's one of those struggles, is the transition from 8 to 9 and 9 to 10. So we're really excited that it's moving so well so far. So
Any other board reports? Go ahead, Dr. Seppi.
I got a couple. For the foundation board, when we met, they were able to give out all of their scholarships this last year, said that they had one of the largest amount of kids that applied. So thank you. I've been trying to get people to apply for these. I love seeing that happen. On top of that, I've also been asking if anybody would like to sponsor a scholarship. Most of these scholarships are $500, $1,000, $2,000. Please, if you have an organization that would like to team with us, I would love to see our kids have more options for scholarships. I want to say we were at like 9 or 11 this year. I would love to see that expanded. So would the foundation. So I told them I would do my best to keep pumping as many public members as I could, or any companies that wish to do it. The foundation will oversee it for you. You provide the funding, and you can help with it as you need. So please do that, because they even put up the pictures of the kids that got it this year. That's what we are here for, is to help the kids. So please continue to apply. And if you're willing to, I see some of the people here tonight that actually did it. So thank you, the ones that did it. Food insecurities. I've gotten a lot of questions about this. We started it last year. We ended up into the summer, and then a lot of other things came up. It is not forgotten. I promise there is an email going out so that we took in a bunch of information at the end of last year. The 3 school board members that are on top of this will be meeting with you guys. There will be an email that will go out hopefully tonight, if I can get it typed up in time. We're trying to meet as many of these people, bring them in together so we can have this, because I want our kids fed. And so there's ways of doing this and making it better. And we have pieces all over the place. We need to try and centralize those, and we can help more people. So everybody that has asked me, I promise it is coming. There's been a lot of other things that have gone on. So it is my fault that we are behind that, but I promise you it is still a very big priority for our group. Last one, and I forgot to do this the other day. It's a shout out for one of our teachers. It was alerted to me, and I should have done it last time, and I missed it. Deb Jensen was a winner of the Outstanding Biology Teacher Award through the National Association of Biology Teachers. I think that's great. I mean, we try and celebrate these things. We try and do it as a district. And somebody had brought it to me previously and I wrote it down and I forgot. So for her, I am sorry I missed it, but I wanted to pick it up this time. That is awesome. More teachers we can get with those things, better. That is awesome. And I believe that is it for me. Oh, I did forget one. Sorry. The gala for the foundation board. I wrote it down. I had to look it up. The foundation has their annual gala teamed with Carrie's Access Awards. They oversee a lot of the stuff like kids that are in need of instruments and things like that to help kids. They have a one-time-a-year gala, and it will be January 24th at the events complex. It is a great opportunity to help generate money for the foundation so that we can help kids again. So I think now I'm good.
And I wanted to add to your food insecurity. This summer, Dan and I met with the soup kitchen folks around the potential of the sale of their building and the potential of us using a portion of Washington to move the soup kitchen into so that they could continue to thrive over in that community. We did gather some more information and we reached out around some things that we may have to do internally and things that we may have to get some help from the community to make sure that that soup kitchen continues to survive. But I have some information for you too about, we looked in the potential of having them slide over because we're basically across the back street for them to be able to move over. And we have Washington starting to open up as a community building. So this would be another avenue to provide some more community access and to continue to help folks out. So I have some more information for you as well.
Thank you. Any other board reports? Okay, we'll move forward to the roll call. Mer?
Mrs. Wood,
Here.
Mrs. Schumacher,
Here.
Mr. Franks,
Here.
Mr. Gardner,
Here.
Mr. Suppi,
Here.
Mr. Sorensen,
Here.
Chair Wright.
Here. And we'll move forward to the approval of the agenda. If I can please have a motion to approve the agenda as presented, including addendums. It's been moved by Mr. Sorensen. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Franks. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. Item 4A is our student performance. Ms. Garner for our White Top scores.
Absolutely. Thank you. So Zach, I think we've got an attachment there, that PowerPoint. Can you pull that PowerPoint up? Awesome. Thank you. Can you jump to the next slide? So this is the mission statement with our strategic plan attached to it. And pretty soon I'll probably have to get up because we're going to talk some numbers. Empowering all learners to become resilient, innovative, and compassionate individuals equipped with the knowledge, skills, and character to thrive in the global community. So we had our Y-Top scores come out, and I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, and we sent out a little bit of a media blast. So I didn't get caught off guard this year for having our scores come out. We, in large school districts, we had the third largest growth in English language arts across the district, in large school district.
Across the state.
Or across the state, I'm sorry. And in science, we were number one in growth across the state as well. In math, we have some work to do. So as we go through this, we sent out information, basically, we're excited. It's about growth, and it's just like the meeting that we just came out with Upbeat is, are we heading in the right direction? So as we go through this, we're having conversations. It's about whether or not we're heading in the right direction or not. And I think this is the first time we've had this type of growth within the district for a really long time. So we're really excited that some of the work and some of the things that we put into place are really getting folks to head in the right direction around our support and services for our students. So Zach, can you jump to the next one? You're awesome. All right, so this is kind of color coded and it's a little bit smaller. So unless you have even better eyes than I do, you're not gonna be able to see this much. So the scores across from the left to the right start from 2021, 2022, all the way to 2024, 25 rating. If it's blue, it's exceeding alternative schools expectations. So Black Butte has been exceeding straight across the board for the last 4 years. You have 3 other colors that are in here. You have yellow that's partially meets, you have green that meets, and you have orange that is not meet expectation. So as you go down the column, you can see schools across the board. But remember, as the scores go, our elementaries, our K3s do not get a standalone score. The K3 gets the score of the 4-6 building for which they feed into. So you could have a K3 building that's doing exceptional, but if the 4-6 is struggling in any form or fashion, the exceptional K3 building will get the same score as the 4-6 school. So in 2 building scores, you have 7 schools that have their scores tied up in them. So unique.
And if I can add, this year, all of our 5 in-town elementary schools, all actually, if they were independently scored, they would have been blue for partially, yellow for partially meeting, but they did carry the weight for the 4-6 schools. So we saw quite an improvement. So pretty exciting. So we're hoping this next year we could turn this 7 schools.
So Zach, can you jump to the next slide? Thank you. So this is Y-top ELA scores. And there's 2 columns for every year. So you've got 2 columns for 21, 22, 2 columns for 22, 23, 2 columns for 23, 24, and then the last 2 are 24, 25. And when you look at those, you can see where Wyoming was, and you can see where we were in the school district. So if you look at 3rd grade from 23, 24, they were at 42.78. This year, that 3rd grade was at 50. 4th grade, 37 to 37, a little bit of a drop there. We've got 5th grade, 39, up just a stitch to 40. You've got 6th grade at 47, down about 2.5 to 45. You got 7th grade, 50 to 51. Well, it's 50.9 to 51.1, so up just a stitch. You've got 8th grade from 57 to 58.8, so up just a little bit. 9th grade, you went from 43 to 52. So we're doing something right. We got 10th grade, 29 to 40. So we had 2 huge growth in that 9th and 10th grade for our English language arts. And you can see 4, 5, 6, right? Right through that center where we have a struggle, we had some English language arts scores that just didn't make the growth that we were seeing in some of those other areas. You had some pretty decent growth and maintained there through that 7, 8, but that 9, 10, when we got them over there, we really saw some takeoff and some improvement on those language arts scores.
If I may add, so it was the ELA scores that were number 3 in the state for 1-year growth. But 10th grade was number 1 in the state for large schools for 1-year growth. 3rd grade was number 2 in the state compared to all other of their similar grade levels. And 9th grade was number 4 in the state for overall growth in 1 year. So that we have not seen gains like that in a long time.
So one of the things we want to continue to go back to is when we had our meeting at the beginning of the school year last year, I kind of dropped the gauntlet about, hey, we got 5 years. I want to be 20 points above what the state average is, right? That's a goal, right? If we could have done it, that's an expectation, right? This is a goal. We're reaching for it. And the growth that we're showing right now is the growth that we need to continue making for the next 4 years. And I've mathed it out. If we stay on the same trajectory for most of these grades, we will make it in under 5 years. We have an issue. We're going to talk a little bit more about it for our grades that we're not seeing that percentage growth that we need to stay so that we can hit these Wyoming state averages and then we can outperform. But we're going to come to that as we continue to go through this. Zach, can you jump to the next one? Thank you, sir. So this is math. And you can see it again, 2 column, 2 column, 2 column, 2 column. So 3rd grade, 47 to 56, we're moving. 4th grade, 30 to 38, we've got some movement there. Fifth grade, we've got 29.6 to 35. We're still moving. And we hit sixth grade, we go from 36, actually 37 to 30. So we're heading a little bit the wrong direction. We got seventh grade, 44 to 41, and then eighth grade, 48 to 41. And then you go ninth grade, 37 to 35, and then you've got 33 to 28. So when we hit that junior high, early high school, our math scores drop. And they drop significantly across the board. We're making it in some of those lower areas, but then once we start moving up into some of those greater mathematical skill sets and those concepts that need to be taught, we really start to struggle. So I'm going to add a little bit, and then Ms. Gardner's going to add in the rest. We knew last year we had to focus on ELA because initially it was, if you can't read the test, you can't answer the question. And in many instances, even the math questions are comprehension questions. So if you can't read the math question, you still can't do the math. So last year, we really, really focused across the board on English language arts. We were on it and we had staff just do a tremendous job, and we saw it in a significant portion of our test scores. Math's a little different. We didn't have, we had ELA interventions, we had ELA pre-tests that we could take. We had programs that we could use, but we didn't have anything for math. So this year, we do. So
This year we did, we were able to purchase a math screener and intervention tool. Since I've been here the last 5 years, I've had so many teachers ask me, please, do we have a math screener? Do we have a math screener? We were finally able to purchase one. Casey found some grant money, and we are super excited to have that opportunity. So K through 6 will be using, it's called iSteep. K through 6 will be using iSteep. And it has a screening tool and intervention lessons that can be used by the teacher. It's not just a computer-based tool. It also does have some computer-based pieces, but we're super excited to be able to find our learning gaps and address them at that in math. And so we're very excited about that. One other highlight on the math, I can tell you that for 1 year growth, third grade, again, was number 2 in the state in their grade level range. Fourth grade was number 4 in the state for 1 year growth. And fifth grade was number 3 in the state for 1 year growth. So we are seeing growth. We just need to make sure that we are filling in the gaps and really targeting the right work. So very exciting.
And we're hitting this one straight across the board, just not academically, but we also recognize, like in our earlier conversations around staffing, right? You have to have the right staff in the right space. So earlier questions around, are all the staff certified for math at the secondary level at the high school? Yes, they are, right? We're really pushing to make sure that we're giving everybody the skills and the skill sets that they need so that they can be successful. And if we could do something more around that, we're actually gonna do it. Zach, can you jump to the next one? Thank you, sir. So this is science. This kind of makes my heart feel good too, because I'm a science teacher. So fourth grade, 35 to 41, eighth grade, 46 to 47, and then 10th grade, 31 to 45. So it's significant growth across the 4 years in which we teach science. And one of the things that I always try to relate this to is, if you could do science, you could do math. Right? Those two things roll together. If you could do science, you could do language arts, because you have to read what you're doing. So in science, we cover all of the topic areas. And it's nice to see that we're seeing significant amount of growth straight across the school district, where we were number 1 in the state here. So all of the skills and skill sets that we're trying to mold and put together really showed up here in our science department in the tremendous amount of work that they had done.
Yeah. Number 1 in the state for 1 year growth is very exciting in science, but fourth grade was number 3 in the state for overall 1 year growth in science, and 10th grade was number 1 in the state for their similar grade level for 1 year growth. So huge growth this year.
So Zach, can you jump to the next one? So this is cohort. So these are the diagonals. So as you go across and you read from 20, 21, 22 down to 24, 25. You follow the colors diagonal across, and that should be as close as what we can get to some of our cohort scores as we possibly can. So there's two different ways to look at it. You can look third grade straight across the board and it's apples to oranges, right? Because the kids change every year, but the teacher's the same. And then you can look at the kids from one grade level to the next, and those cohorts stay the same. So the students that you're testing and the numbers that you're looking at should be the same kids as they go. Some of these numbers tell us, as we see growth in the same grade level, that our staff is getting stronger at the curriculum that they have and the instruction that's occurring. We're using BT, it's standards-based. Our teachers know those standards really strong, and they're getting really good at what they're doing, which is exactly what we want to do. We want to get better at what the few things that we're already doing and get really strong at it. But now what we need to do is we need to play some catch up with those kids that go from third to fourth, fourth to fifth. Some of the pieces that are not on here is every school year, we have 200 more kids come out at the Overland that are above grade level in kindergarten. So every year we get 198 kids that come out of there that come into kindergarten at grade level or above, which means 3 years ago, that wasn't happening. And 3 years ago, those were our second and third graders. So now for the past 2 years, we've sent in 200 plus kids that are coming into kindergarten or above their grade level standards. So as we move through this, as those kids start getting into this cycle where they start moving forward into second and third grade, we should start seeing some of these averages going up because the students are coming to us with a better skill set than what they were before because of the work that's happening with Miss Ellison and her team across the street. So are there spaces where we see significant drop off? There are. Are there places in here where we see some growth? So if you look in 21-22 at fifth grade, they're at 47.63% in ELA. And if you stay on that 46.3 straight across in 24-25, they're at 58.8%. So they're growing. We have some others in here that sixth grade class the following or that same year, they went the other direction. They went from 57 to 52. So there's work that we have to do in determining why is this occurring? What's happening? And we have a place where we can start looking at it and we can start looking to get this fixed. The chart to the right in the yellows and the oranges, that's math. And you can see the math scores. We already discussed our math scores. For the most part, we have some growth or some consistency across some of them, but we're just heading the wrong direction. So our focus this coming year is we're not going to move away from what we're doing in ELA. We're going to do some additional work and provide some more assistance and support through math for all of our teachers. We have SATs in place at both of our 4-6s to provide some more assistance and support. We have an SAT at one of our elementary schools to continue to provide assistance and support at one of our elementary schools where there's a bit of a struggle. We're going to overload these areas so that we can get these grades and get these scores moving in the right direction. Zach, can you jump to the next one? So here's some pieces that we've already talked about that we're going to focus on so we can continue to make progress. We're going to continue to work strong through beyond textbooks, teaching to the standards so our staff members know what they're doing and how they're moving forward. We know that the state reduced standards in some of our areas, but they didn't change the test. So you can't drop the standards if they didn't take it off the test. So they did one, but they didn't change the test. So you still have to teach to those standards. So although the state may have dropped those standards, we have not dropped those standards. We're still being assessed on those. Those are standards that are needed for larger concepts and growth. You can't drop them. You have to continue doing those. So we're going to continue working on those.
Actually, Dr. Libby, I actually called the state today and they will have the test modified for the summatives. So for math and science for the new reduction of standards. So,
Well, well,
Yep.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But they're still important. They're still important for them to be taught. Reimagine and reinnovate the delivery of our education. That's the governor's model through RIDE that we are in our second year of. We have Project Aware to help continue to support our kids through mental health and their awareness. We have the Acadians testing. iSteep, the overall literacy over at Overland, the K-3 reading professional development that we're doing, our improvement to our MTSS processes to help provide assistance and supports and find kids that need extra assistance and supports above what's happening in the general ed setting. And then our use of EdMinimum and Exact Path and Study Island for our students that are a little bit older that need some more assistance and supports through their math programming.
Yes.
And I think that's the last slide. And I am certain folks probably have some questions for us. Again, we did well in language arts. We did great in science. We have some work to do. There's some work to do in math. And we know it. We've had conversations at our leadership team meetings with principals. We're already out in PLCs and having conversations with our SATs in those classrooms to say, what can we do to assist and support moving forward? We got the ball rolling in 2 spaces. We got to get the ball rolling in the next. There's no excuses. We can do better. We're going to get there. We can do better.
Go ahead. Do you have a question? Oh, I was going to add maybe on the district highlights, a couple other things I'd assume are going to contribute to that are reduced class sizes in our elementary
Absolutely.
levels, more one-on-one focus, and then the 9th grade center as well. I mean, that was part of the data that went into this.
Absolutely.
Previously, we saw that decrease between the 8th and 9th grade year, and so we said we need that stepping stone, and
Yes.
we're anticipating that that's going to impact results as well.
That's it.
I believe it will. In every other places where I've done work through middle schools, because that's where my career is in working with these types of situations. By having a stronger focus on just academics with just the 9th grade in that space, it does 2 things. There's less distractions across the board. So there's more focus on academic, and it gives a slower roll into the environment of the high school because they're still at the high school for half the day. So there's this slower development instead of just being dropped deep into the pool. We did bring in a lot of extra staff. We have the finances to do it. Mr. Gonzalez has done an absolute fantastic job with our finances, and we're going to have some more conversations around what else can we do to provide some assistance and support moving forward, because our finances are in a great spot. Not only where we are with the new high school coming on board, but also in a space and a place where we can continue to provide more services for our students because we have the capabilities of doing so. We're excited about the direction that we're going, but we've got to get it done.
I'm super excited too, because you might remember a year and a few months ago, I made a passionate plea to do something that we had never done before, right? We had always adopted textbooks, and that was the direction we kept moving. And I assured you that what we've always done has not been producing results. So I thank you for your trust, and I promise we're moving in the right direction.
One other thing, I don't know if Zach has the ability to throw this up, but if you haven't been able to see those reductions in standards, it's incredible the number of standards that the teachers were being expected to teach to and what that's being reduced to, which won't come into play until next year's test, but hopefully that has a positive impact on it as well. It's more focused.
Right. Math and science this year. But we're still kind of in transition because, as you know, we are missing some skills. And so, but at the end of this year's test, it is the reduced standards. So,
And I want to throw this out there though. Just because the state reduced the standards does not mean those skill sets are not important to our
Right.
students, because a lot of the skill sets that they moved to the side are developmental skill sets for some of the standards that they left on the books.
for sure.
So you can't get there
Mhm.
unless you know the base level. So although they may have dropped off some of those base level standards, you absolutely have to have that skill set so that you can get to those higher levels of understanding. So regardless if they dropped them or not, regardless if they're going to be on the test or not, we still have to teach them, because you can't get from A to C without going through B. And you can't drop some of those B standards and expect the kids to continue to be able to move forward with a greater understanding. So we're appreciative that they dropped a bunch. They're still important. They're still important for our students to learn, and we're still going to focus on making sure that when our students walk across the stage, they are ready and prepared for life and whatever their decision is as to what they want to do.
Are there any questions?
More just a comment than anything. I did submit some questions beforehand. The presentation covered all of them. I know it's shocking to see numbers like 28% on math, and I appreciate that we're approaching it head on and not just saying that it's okay. It is always interesting to compare to the rest of the state. That gives a bigger pool in it, and it's quite apparent that the whole state needs to do better, but we need to lead that way too. My one comment and something I'll watch for next year, hopefully over the last 4 years, there's 5 times that we beat the state average in any particular grade in either ELA or math. So ideally, if we're going to be above state average, we should start seeing more of those pop. And so that would be great next year to see multiple grades go above the state average. That would be a good indicator of growth, in my opinion.
Yes, it would.
Yep, thank you. We're in the same boat. We've started to pull data even further back on some of our schools to see what our trends are across longer periods of time, to see how systemic or is there something in those trends that we can see back 5, 6, 7, 8 years as to have we been making growth? Are we heading in the right direction? What else could we be doing above and beyond what we've just noticed over the last, year and a half that we've been here? I don't necessarily know if the conversations have been as deep as around curriculum and instruction as they have over the last year and a half. But from what you can see from the Upbeat survey that we did, building leaders are my instructional leaders. And there's an expectation that you lead instructionally in your school. And that's the prime focus that we are going to have as long as I am here, that they are the instructional leaders and will be held accountable for our student growth as we move forward.
Awesome.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Ms. Gardner.
Thank you.
I am super excited about the next item on the agenda. We have a group of students here from the J Foundation. So a little bit of quick background from my side. I attended a WSBA area directors meeting, and they had this awesome presentation about the J Foundation. And I don't know if I've been living in the dark or what the thing is, but I was like, this is cool. We need this in our community. I had some contact information, reached out, and they're like, hey, there's an awesome group of students and parents and teachers, Ms. Beardsley, Ms. Pedri, who are already working on this. They've done a lot of great work. Let me put you in contact. And as we started to have the conversation, it was like, why don't we get the mayor together with us? Why don't we get the student body together? Why don't we all have this conversation together and see how we can support these great students? So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. But I'm really excited in our focus of mental health and the studies that we've done and stuff. I think this is an awesome way to achieve some positive results. So Addison, turn it over to you.
Okay. Good evening. My name's Addison Sellers.
I'm Kinsey Demori.
My name's Cajun Powell.
I'm Lincoln Young.
I'm Kira Lane.
I'm Michael Stromberg.
And we're students from Rock Springs High School. And we're here representing the J Foundation. The J Foundation is about mental health and suicide prevention. It's about making sure no student feels alone. This is why we are here.
Our message is this: it is okay to not be okay, and no one should have to walk through hard times alone. This is not just a phrase, it's a truth we believe our school needs to hear and live by.
Our goal focuses on 3 goals. First, to raise awareness so that people aren't silent about their mental health. Build a community because support systems save lives. And to have fun because mental health doesn't mean just living, it means living to your fullest.
To raise awareness with the help of our staff and our students, we have created to reach out the J Foundation message into our school. And we have created conversations that are vulnerable and honest. And ultimately, we want to create a culture where students feel empowered to follow one another in speaking up.
So far, we have went to multiple events like the International Days, Red Desert Roundup Parade, and the Joey Fagel music video, then the Rock for Music Festival, and there's many more to come. We have a Green River Eagle dinner, October 17th, and more events to come.
Awareness is important, but community is what holds people together. We are working with local businesses and groups, and we are creating a culture of belonging where no one feels like they have to fight by themselves. Connection isn't just helpful, it prevents tragedy. We also know that mental health isn't only about struggling, it's about moments of joy and connection. We want to create experiences at our school that remind students life is worth living and that they are a part of something bigger. Fun is not a distraction, it's a part of healing.
But the numbers remind us why this work is urgent. In Wyoming, 22% of teens have considered suicide, 21.7% have faced depression, 10% have attempted suicide. At Rock Springs High School, that translates to 323 students who have considered suicide, 318 students who have struggled with depression, and 147 students who have attempted suicide. These are not abstract numbers. They're our classmates, our teammates, our friends.
We're asking for three things from the district. We're asking for support to stand with us on this mission. We're asking for financial help so that we can continue bringing events and sources to our school and our community. We're asking for a promotion to help spread this message further into the community and into our schools. And these boots that we wear, we use them as a symbol more than just the boots. They remind us to hold on, to stay, and to keep going.
So far, we have raised $8,759. That's 12% of our total of $7,000 that we need to raise. We, as a community, we need more people to help spread the word so we could help our students and our future.
We also want to thank Kari Cochran because she donated around $3,000 to us because she holds an annual raffle for her son Joran, who lost his life to suicide. So that is really important to us, and we appreciate it a lot. So all of this money goes to the class of 2026, and the money is $200 per student, and that's for their pair of boots. So just like all the money goes to the class of 2026. It's my turn. We are here to bring hope to our school.
We are here to make sure no one feels forgotten.
We're here to change the culture.
We are here because connections save lives.
We are here to fight for our classmates' future.
And we are here to ask you guys to join us.
Thank you, guys. Before you sit down, and then if you will, I have just a couple questions for you guys before you take off.
You guys want to
sitting in the audience that this is impacted directly. And this is extremely important to me. It's important to our board. Mental health is important to us in general. But that's why I think what you guys are doing is really, really cool. So thank you very much for stepping up and doing this. Addison, whether you want to answer some of these things or you want to delegate or whatnot, that would be great. But I know that some of you are tying this into your senior project, right? And then there's also an objective here to take some of the younger kids, maybe in their junior year, and pass this program along. Can you speak to that a little bit?
So all of us are actually in the Health Academy, and we pulled like 5 or 6 juniors from the Health Academy to it's like a shadow, I guess, and they'll come to all of our events and see what to do so they can carry it on to next year, and they'll just keep going year from year and just use that same process.
That's awesome. And then also you had a goal of $70,000 and that's by December. Is that correct?
Our goal is by January.
January. Okay. And what does $70,000 do for you guys?
It all goes towards our class. So none of it actually goes to the foundation. It all goes towards every student, well, every senior at Rock Springs High School to get the boots, and that includes staff as well.
Okay. So the goal is to get boots for everybody in the senior class, right?
Yes.
And so talk to me more about what a boot check is.
A boot check is a vulnerable moment where you just ask someone how they're doing. If they come up on your, come to your mind and say, are you doing okay? And those conversations can last a long time depending, because you never know what someone's going through.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to elaborate a little bit that their goal is to get these boots. I think it's generally $200 for a pair of boots.
Yes.
And so that $70,000 is for your full class. I think what you guys are doing is admirable. Kari, I want to recognize you. The donation that you gave and just always fighting for Jordan. I know we have other people as well that have been impacted by this, and it's important to me. And I really deeply care about this. I want to prevent, not just all of us, this whole situation. We want to prevent it from happening again. So please, I do know that Kayla plans to send out the Venmo Square. I would like to have you guys come back at some point, maybe give us a little progress update. And I believe we can have some of the people, or at least an individual from the J Foundation, come and tell us a little bit more about the story that started that, just for context. But again, awesome job, you guys. Thank you very much for what you do. And thank you for everybody for keeping this top of mind.
So I wanted to, maybe it was on. I'll just speak loud. Oh, there it goes. I also wanted to add to it that Farson High School senior group is also did have done.
Done. Yes, we did it last week. It's on. Is it? For us? No? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it? Yes. Okay. Yeah, we went last week. Oh, I don't want to cry. It was so impactful. It was something that you have to be there to experience it. It's something that needs to be in our community, and it hit us pretty hard. So we are actually going to do a community dance and pass it down to our juniors, and then so on and so forth. So our goal is a lot different than $70,000. I mean, ours is only $2,200. So we just got a sponsorship for it. But we want it to be more than just, hey, who's going to give us $2,200? Because it is more than that, and it needs to be something that's talked about and brought to attention and the norm. So.
Can you share with us when your community dances? I would love it if we have the capabilities of getting our group up there too, so that it's not just Farson. It's not just Rock Springs High School. Black Butte is also doing this project as well this year with their seniors. It's just we're a community, right? And we talked about this with our sports and our activities about bringing people together to support each other through homecomings, to support each other through the winter months. We'd love to be able to know when the date is, so that if we can potentially use some transportation, get some people up there, be a part of your project, be a part of your program as well, and we can support each other because we're all in this together. This is your community, it's our community as a whole, and we'd love to be able to support that as it moves forward.
Addison, sorry to put you back on the spot, but would you share a little bit more about the retreat that you guys, a couple of you attended to? Are you willing to do that? Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Previously, me and Kira just went to a retreat. It was at the Double J Ranch in Pinedale. And, Double, okay. Well, it was a teen outreach event. So all of the students across Wyoming, it was like 2 leaders from every school. So we met people from all over the place, and we basically just, it was a very vulnerable trip. We all made friends real fast because we didn't have any cell service or anything. So it was very fun also. It's something that I will personally remember forever.
Yeah, we did a lot of different like journaling almost at that retreat, and we also broke into groups, so it made it more personal, and we shared things that you wouldn't normally share with people that you don't really know. But we had those conversations, and it actually felt like a really safe space. So with the boots, that's also, it ties into that. It's like to help create a conversation. So it's not just like walking up to someone and saying hi. It's more like deep and thoughtful. And also the retreat, it taught us a lot of things that we are trying to bring to our high school. And teen outreach events.
Oh, yeah.
They want us to do a teen outreach event once a month. So for the first one, it's a boot check barbecue, and we're trying to do that at the Powder Puff game.
Yeah, before the Powder Puff game.
Yeah, and then for like October, we'll do like pumpkin painting. So we get $200 a month from that, from the J Foundation. And then we just have to organize that and try and get the teens of our community together.
Great. So if you guys will keep us in communication with those events, we'll definitely help you along the way on that as well.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to our guidelines for public comments. Thank you for attending today's board meeting and for your continued engagement with the district. As we move into the public comment portion, we kindly ask that each speaker limit their comments to 1 opportunity. If you've already submitted written comments, we kindly request that you refrain from addressing the board again on the same topic. All written comments will be posted in the written public comment section of the agenda for review by all attendees, including trustees. Speakers may comment on district policies, operations, and programs, or other matters that relate directly to the school district and the board's business. We ask that issues that are not of general importance to the broader community or relevant to the board's governance of the district should be addressed through appropriate administrative channels. Comments regarding the performance of employment of individual district employees are not permitted during public comment. Formal complaints about school personnel may be submitted to the Board of Trustees in accordance with policy KLD and using the form in KLDE. Staff complaints or grievances should follow the procedure outlined in policy GBM. Comments regarding individual students will not be permitted. The district is legally prohibited from discussing confidential student matters in a public forum. If you are unable to finish your comments within the allotted 3 minutes, we invite you to submit the remainder in writing to the superintendent or board chair. These submissions will be shared with all board members after the meeting and will receive a response in the same manner as public comments. With that, I did not receive any written public comments, so we'll open it up for in-person public comments.
Chair Wright, trustees, Superintendent Libby. My name is Harry Pollock, and the following are my words, read to you by Laura Pavey with my permission. October 25th, 2024, Judge Alan B. Johnson of the U.S. District Court of the District of Wyoming granted a summary judgment in my case, Pollock versus Wilson. The case, led by attorneys from the Institute of Free Speech, began after I sued the Sheridan County School District Number 2, a Board of Trustees, for violating my First Amendment rights by censoring my criticism of the school official during a public meeting. February of 2022, I attempted to address the board to respond to statements made by the superintendent at the previous meeting. The board chair cut me off, claiming that mentioning the superintendent violated the rule against discussing personnel matters. The chair ordered me to stop speaking, and the superintendent called the police to escort me out of the building or be charged with criminal trespass. Nearly 3 years later, my right to speak was finally vindicated. So you have a clear understanding of what that ruling means. The order held that while the board may restrict discussion of genuine personnel matters, using such policies to broadly exclude all speakers who mention individual employees is unreasonable and unconstitutional. The court also held that the board chair, Susan Wilson, violated the First Amendment by invoking personnel rules to stop me from making critical comments. The order permanently enjoins SCSD2 board from enforcing its policy to include speakers solely for referring individual employees, and awarded me $17.91 in nominal damages, the symbolic amount referencing the year of the First Amendment's ratification. The court also ordered the board to pay my costs and attorney fees. The George order explained enforcing the policies against me because my comments were critical, but not enforcing it against others whose viewpoints were positive, constitutes as viewpoint discrimination, a violation of the First Amendment. He added that the policy also runs into constitutional hot water because enforced unpredictability. This victory sends a clear message that public officials cannot use rules like these to suppress dissent and evade accountability. I hope my case encourages others to speak out without fear or censorship or retaliation. The Institute for Free Speech senior attorney Brett Nolan said, "The government cannot silence criticism or censor speech it does not like." The court recognized that the school board's misuse of personnel rule was an attempt to circumvent the First Amendment. We are pleased that the court has vindicated Mr. Pollock's right, struck down unconstitutional application of this speech restriction, and ensured that the policy can be used or can't be used to infringe on speech rights in the future. I made it by the cutoff.
Thank you, Ms. Pollock.
I just, looking at the policy that you guys are getting ready to make and the discussion that happens before public policy, I just think that, and Harry thinks that there's a little bit of treading on thin water. So thank you for allowing me to speak today.
Thank you for your comments. I'm going to ask, as far as applause goes going forward, we're going to hold that for positive and concerns, and that's just a kindness and respect that we're going to try to have in the boardroom.
Dr. Libby, Chairman Wright, and board members, I'm Laura McKee. I am opposed to the proposed changes to the public participation at board meetings. Specifically, we're talking in here about the board chairman may ask for clarification or redirect comments that are personal in nature or fall outside the scope of the board business. FERPA is one of the things that you guys use to explain why you're doing that. That does not apply to parents, only to the schools and disclosure of educational records. We must let parents share their stories. If we don't, it's a direct violation of their First Amendment rights of the US Constitution. This will eliminate transparency that you have talked so much about. It is incredibly brave for parents to share their stories. They are trying to make positive changes in the schools. We need to grow and work in unity, as you guys talk about, and to try to heal, but we can't if we're silenced. And so I encourage everybody to look up the rules on FERPA. You can find them online. And the changes on here saying, basically, I mean, they're just limiting the comments of what we can say, which is not okay. I have been to every single board meeting, probably except for like one in the past couple years. Okay, so I've seen these board meetings. They have been very respectful, very peaceful. I have not seen any reason for these changes that are coming up, but I have seen a lot of brave parents sharing their stories that are very important. They're important to me and they're important to our community. And we are trying to do better, and we can't do better if we can't share our stories. And we should never be silenced under any circumstances. So, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. You're okay. You're fine.
Dr. Libby, Chairman Wright, and trustees, my name is Marlene Kramer. I'm a retired teacher of the district and a parent of 2 Rock Springs high school graduates. And I want to thank the kids that are here for the J Foundation. I first heard about the J Foundation 2 years ago from a friend in Cheyenne, and she explained to me what it was all about. Jay was a high school student in Pinedale. Upon graduation, he took his own life. And he had a friend that wanted to do something to honor Jay. And so that's how the Jay Foundation came about. The cowboy boots symbolize exactly what these kids talked about, check in on each other, the boot check. And it was because Jay loved boots. Since he was about 3 years old and could wear shoes, he wanted to wear cowboy boots all the time. So that's just the background on that. My husband, Rich, and I are here to support the implementation of the J Foundation at Rock Springs High School. As most in the room are aware, Rock Springs High School has lost several students or young alumni to suicide over the past few years. Our daughter, you want me to finish? My husband will come finish.
Zach, would you give some time back on the timer, please, so that they can finish their message?
Our daughter, Michaela Matt Kramer, was a 2020 graduate who became a victim of suicide in the fall of 2021 at the University of Wyoming. Mac began struggling with depression and anxiety at the beginning of high school and had counseling and outside of school, as well as caring teachers within the high school who did an incredible job helping her through those tough times. And although Mac had caring friends, one of the pieces that was missing in Mac's support was an organized peer group trained in how to reach out and check in with others. As Jonathan Haidt relates to in his book, The Anxious Generation, depression and anxiety have been increasing and are at an all-time high with preteens and teens. Much of his research points to technology and that many social media platforms as being a prominent cause of this increased depression and anxiety. In a world where we are more connected than ever through technology, we are much less connected when it comes to our real life relationships. Marlene and I believe the J Foundation could be an important part of creating a student-led network of support that checks in on peers and helps build relationships. Often students are more comfortable talking about their struggles with peers than adults. The practice of the boot check will continue far beyond high school. We urge you to support the J Foundation in any way you can. It was very refreshing, Chairman Wright, to hear you speak so highly of your desire to support the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich and Marlene. We appreciate that.
Dr. Libby, Chairman Wright, and members of the school board. My name's Dina Fulmer, and I'm speaking as a parent. I want to start by acknowledging the J Foundation. Thank you. Whew. I'm sorry, this is so near and dear to my heart. Take care of each other. When I spoke in June, I attempted to provide a visual comparison of the number of students in 9th through 12th grade nationwide who attempt suicide daily in the United States. On average, 3,703 students per day in those grade levels attempt suicide. That does not include the younger students. At that rate, it only takes 16 days to replace the 58,318 names on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall. Those are national statistics. And so I was super excited, sad to see that you guys put it in terms of Sweetwater 1. It's still very scary, very scary. At the board meeting in August, we heard several comments from stakeholders saying our children are listening. Our children are listening. I brought my son today. He's listening. He's listening to me stand up for him, to advocate for him, to do what's right by him and the other kids that can't stand up for themselves. My son's first attempt was in 5th grade due to bullying. Just this last year, we spent 10 days at the Huntsman's Mental Health Institute in Salt Lake City due to bullying. He was released on December 23rd. Dr. Libby, Chairman Wright, members of the school board, I'm asking you, why not? Why not go above and beyond to support the learning in Sweetwater 1? Why not revisit, review, update, strengthen, and enforce policy JA, JFC, JFC-R, JFCB, JFCBE, and all of the other ones? Why not research the relationship between bullying and suicide and use that information to develop policies that address this crisis? Why not develop policies that address the mental health needs of the perpetrator as well as the victims? Why not provide training in these policies so that staff members know and can enforce them? Why not involve parents who live the day-by-day life of a student with mental health issues in the development of these policies?
Ms. Fulmer.
Why not go above and beyond to support the individual needs of all students in Sweetwater 1 and Maslow before Bloom every day?
Thank you, Ms. Fulmer. Further public comment?
Good evening. This is not right, but I'm just going to pretend I'm shorter. Good evening, Superintendent, board members, and district employees. My name is Kelsey Hibbs. First, I wanted to thank the J Foundation for everything that you're doing. I really appreciate the work that you're doing, and I hope that you know as children, what you learn now will carry on with you for the rest of your life regarding mental health. So thank you for helping spread that among the kids in high school, and it will carry on to other kids. I'm here tonight to address what feels like an increasing resistance from the board and district toward parental and community involvement through public comment. Many of others have spoken similarly, and I'm here to share my own views. These are my own views only and cannot and should not be used in any other way. These are my views. While many recent comments may begin with personal experiences, they point to larger patterns harming students and impacting staff. These include students' mental health suffering due to how serious issues are often handled, parents not being truly listened to or believed, and policies or state statutes being ignored. These are issues of general importance to the community, and they are relevant to the board's governance. Yet tonight, you will discuss changes that could limit the ability for parents to speak openly if internal avenues have not been successful. As you consider this and as you prepare to vote and discuss this situation, I ask these questions. What will be done to make the internal avenues more effective? I mentioned last month that many people do not end up here where I'm standing without going through those internal avenues. So will you guys be discussing how to make those processes better? Will board members commit to responding to parent emails directly? I also referenced last month that I have been grateful to speak with a couple of you. I'm just going to be honest. I sent an email to the entire board in March of 2025. I received one email back saying that they would get back to me, and I got nothing. And I do not say that to shame or embarrass. I just want to say that I did not want to be up here. I came up here because nothing else I had done worked, and that was really scary for me. And I mentioned last month all the things that can come with speaking publicly. It's not necessarily fun to be in the public eye, even if you're not a shy person. So I just wanted to ask if that would be clarified. Will it be clarified if and when Dr. Libby steps in internal avenues? I personally had a little bit of a struggle getting around when things weren't working, and I just wanted that to be considered as well. Lastly, I wanted to just share this. The mental health of our students matter. I have a 9-year-old daughter who I also tried to advocate for very well last year, mental health wise. She's currently homeschooling because of the fallout mentally of last year. But I also want to say this. A child cannot be healthy in their mental health if their parent is not. And I will tell you that the avenues I had to go through almost broke me, but I didn't stop because I love my child. So please remember that all of us not only are adults, but we represent children as we speak. And please consider that as you talk about this policy change. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hibbs. Further public comment?
My name's Kari Cochran, and thank you, Dr. Libby, Chair Wright. I wasn't planning on speaking at all tonight, but I do want to thank Addison, Kira, Lincoln, Cajun, Kinsey, and Michael for the J Foundation and for reaching out to me and allowing me to take part in that. I think it is wonderful. Marlene, thank you for coming up. And I know we've had a lot of different conversations about things within the district for students working forward for mental health. Today, I spoke with a counselor in Green River who they work a lot with the Hope Squad, which is something that we've talked a lot about. And I really love the J Foundation for seniors, and I love partnering, and I want to continue to partner through the different generations as we move forward. But I would really like to see some different things stem for younger generations. And I know we do sources of strength, and I've had some wonderful conversations, and I really appreciate some of the initiatives moving forward. I just don't think we share about it enough. I don't think we talk about it enough. I know when I brought Project Aware to Cole Wright, he talked about it. We got a presentation from Annie, which was wonderful, but those things aren't talked about. So sometimes when people do come up here to share things, you might assume many different things, but the intention is we can't find the information. The information isn't being shared. I attended the board workshop today. Wonderful. I would have preferred for some of those things to be shared better. I get a lunch menu for my kids every day, but I don't get to know what's being handled at the board workshop. I don't get the J Foundation. We should be sharing information that is pertinent and important to everyone so that parents can be involved and be active. And I know Danny and I both talked about doing a community event for talking about things for Sweetwater County as a counselor. She wants to move forward, and I want to see our kids build skills to advocate for themselves, to know it's okay, what to not be okay, to know how to speak up, and that there isn't going to be retaliation for sharing your opinion and your views, and that it's okay. And I know that we're working on different things, and I'm so thankful to see kids engage and get involved. It is just so remarkable to get to see all of the different conversations that I've even been able to have witnessed with my own daughter, have with other kids. So thank you guys so much. And I want to see other staff members. Thank you, Amberly. Thank you for like guiding this. Kara, I really like pushing some of these things forward. I think is just so amazing. And I just want to say thank you. And I hope that we can buckle down on looking at what sources of strength is looking like, sharing more of that information, broadening it into the community, to our students, to our staff, to our parents. Or if that avenue isn't working, and not that it's wrong and not that the people that are doing it are wrong, but maybe there is a different avenue that we reach out and we go in, maybe the Hope Squad, like Green River's doing a bunch of events this week, that they're doing a chalk walk and different things that I think would be good as not even just a secondary school, but a district-wide movement to have different levels and different ages be able to vocalize things that they're proud of themselves, or different pieces like that. So sorry, I don't want to go over.
You're great. Thanks, Kari.
I'm just so there with me.
Superintendent Libby and board. I haven't been here for so long, and this was a great, great meeting, and these are fabulous kids. I can't see how anybody wouldn't do anything they say. It would be like,
Ms.
hey, would you do
Sukeli,
this, you know? And
will you?
oh, yeah, my name is
provide your
Shirley
name,
Ann
please?
Sakeli. I thought you'd know me by now, guys. I'm always at the city council meeting, so. But anyway, they are fantastic, and I want to give a cheer to them. You know, I wish it would have been when my son was in school and that they got help, those kids got help at that time, because there was a lot of mental problems in that. My son is 54, so you could just imagine how long that was. But I have to ask you this. Now, if somebody asks you guys a question, you don't answer it, but you just mail it to them, their answer, what they're asking you? Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. If you want to finish your statements or questions, you can address that. Do you have more?
No, I just wanted to know that because I'm kind of confused a little bit. So if somebody asks you a question and they really want to know it, like tonight they want to know it, you don't answer that question, you just mail them the answer? Or how do you do that?
So we have a process, Dr. Libby, you can elaborate, but we have a process of addressing questions as they pertain to the general public at the next month's board meeting. So we collect the questions at this month's board meeting. We get any research or any information that we need to answer that question appropriately, and that's provided at the next month's board meeting. If there are situations that address specific students or specific situations that FERPA or other laws prevent us from responding to, then that's handled on an individual basis.
Oh, all right. Okay, that tells me what I want to know. And Superintendent Libby, I got to say, you're awesome with that tie. I'm telling you, you are, I mean, nobody could look that good in that tie. But thank you. I appreciate it very much giving me that answer.
Thank you, Ms. Zucchini.
And thanks, guys. You're awesome.
How do I follow her? I mean, she was so good. I'm Jen Baird, Farson representative. I just wanted to say that thank you for that policy change on the technology. I know I came up here and spoke about it before, and I'm already seeing the positivity about my youngers leaving those tablets and things at home. And then that also allows my 7th grader or 8th grader, I guess he is now, to be able to bring that home and work on those projects that he needs to. So I just wanted to come up here and let you know that I personally feel like I was listened to when I have came up here numerous times about that policy change. So thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Further public comment?
Chair Wright, trustees, Superintendent Libby, leadership team, and the community. My name is Sarah Wright. I'm a parent, a teacher, and a community member. I wanted to take a moment tonight to express my deepest gratitude. At my school, it took every single one of us, administration, teachers, support staff, and custodians, all working together to make sure our building was ready to welcome students. No one shied away. Everyone was flexible, dedicated, and gave it their all, and it showed. Administration and support staff showed leadership and unwavering support. These things are felt and deeply appreciated. It sets the tone for collaboration and encouragement. The encouragement gives staff the confidence to do their very best work. I want to give a special thanks to our curriculum department. They stepped away from their own responsibilities to lend a hand, doing everything from moving garbage to unloading boxes, delivering copies, literally whatever was needed. Some came dressed for their own work day in dresses and without hesitation rolled up their sleeves and pitched in. The willingness to work side by side with us made a big difference. I'd like to congratulate the high school team. I thought it was really neat that they gave families the opportunity to attend open house and walk schedules that were given out a week in advance. That kind of preparation matters and isn't something that can just be quickly thrown together. Thank you to the transportation department for arranging opportunities for students to meet their bus drivers ahead of school starting. I noticed a big difference in the calmness for my students who ride the bus. Simply knowing their driver's name helped them feel very safe and very confident. I also wanted to take a moment to recognize our teachers and students in light of recent release of test scores. Teachers went above and beyond to support learning, and students rose to the challenge. Their growth and their recognition of what needs work is worth celebrating, and it shows what can happen when we all pull together. Finally, I'd like to express gratitude to our district leadership. The visits to classrooms, the smiles, the encouragement, the kindness, all of those gestures mean so much to us. Our kids notice it too. They're excited to see you, and your presence sets a tone for kindness, support, and calm that helps us all feel at ease and successful. It took all of us from every corner of this district to make the start of the school year successful. Every job matters, every role is important, and we're off to a great start. I'm proud to be a part of a team that lifts together for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment? Further public comment? Going once, going twice. Further public comment? Okay, with that, then we'll move forward to our response to previous month's public comment. Dr. Libby, do you have anything? Okay. Then we'll move forward. Oh, I guess I do want to say for all those comments that have been related to the policy, we will have that policy KD. We will have that discussion when we get to that item in the agenda. Moving forward to the consent agenda, all matters listed under the consent agenda are matters about which the board has governing policies, implementation of which is delegated to the superintendent. They will be enacted in one motion in the order listed below. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the time the Board of Trustees votes on the motion unless members of the board request specific items be held and discussed separately and or removed from this section. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as proposed? It's been moved by Mr. Sorensen. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Ms. Schumacher. All those in favor? Huh?
Aye.
Not on this one, right? Thank you. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. We'll move forward to the 25-26 handbooks. If there's a motion to approve, is there a motion to approve the additional K-12 handbook changes for the 2025-2026 school year? Anyone? Thanks, Mr. Sorensen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks. So there's a second by Ms. Schumacher. On this one, is there any discussion? Dr. Seppi?
I have some. So I applaud you, Josh and Cole. Thank you for getting that information with Mr. Straka. And that was helpful on some of it. We've sent multiple emails back and forth going in there and talking with him. I appreciate some of the information you got. I know I've been a vocal, outspoken member on this part. And based on what had come back from you guys, I'm not against credit recovery and recapture. My goal was to try and put some structure to this because of what I have been brought to me in the past by stuff. The credit recapture program, we were told, has a 40 to 59% in their contract that is signed. I would like to see that added. If it's in the contract, I see no reason we couldn't add that to the policy itself. I mean, it allows some structure to it. That's what I would like to see. I mean, I'm just a vote. I'm just bringing up my information. So if anybody else has part of it, this is just something that I think it provides some of that structure, because in the long run, I want to see kids helped, and I want to see it uniformly applied. And I'm not saying that it's not, but having it so open allows it to possibly be not.
So Dr. Libby had to step away, and Mr. Straka, oh, there you are, you're hiding. And Mr. Blake, would either of you be available to address some of the questions or comments that come up here? Or together? So did you hear Dr. Seppi's question around? No, I didn't. So, yeah, please.
Yeah, so we were told that based on the meeting with Josh and Cole about the 40 to 59% in class, in order to be part of the credit recapture program. I'll applaud the high school. I didn't see the Black Butte numbers, but the fact that we used recovery less, that's great. And I'm happy to see that. I would love to see that thing just not exist and we get kids through it in the first time. However, if the recapture program has a contract that the kids are signing that says the 40 to 59% and the teacher has this thing, I would like to see that in the policy manual. If it's something that we're already using, I think it would be great, just because at that point it gives us some structure that is in policy. Because I'm not saying that you guys would, but all of us are temporary at some point. This board will change, you guys will change. We're all temporary. I would like to see some structure so that moving forward, we always have a policy that is set in stone unless we decide to change it, so that that is how it is utilized. That is my idea behind this. And I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying that this is my perception of it. So I mean, if you guys have information on it, I'd be more than happy to discuss with you. I mean, I'm not, and like I said, I'm not saying I'm right. So if you tell me that I'm wrong, I'm perfectly happy with that. That's the point of this discussion.
No, I thank you for the question. Superintendent Libby, board, Chair Wright, Dr. Sevi, I don't see any problem with that. If that's something that we wanted to include here as the language, we would, want to make sure we write that up. But, that's what we're using as our procedure. And I don't see if that needs to be in specific language, why that would be a problem.
I appreciate it. This is just your guys' opinions, and that is perfectly fine.
I don't care either way.
Okay, are there other questions before, because at this point, what we'd want to do is modify the motion to include that language so that we can move forward. So are there other?
I would prefer is if we modify that language, and I don't know if we can do that just on the fly. I mean, I'm more than happy, because if we modify the language, I'm guessing they're going to have to write it up so that then we can then address it. I don't know if we can do it kind of on the fly. I'm more than happy to do that. If we can write the language to just mimic whatever is in that contract policy or the procedure even part of it and put it into policy, that's what I would like to see.
Ms. Bolton?
Yeah. Chair Wright, no matter what you guys decide, the motion tonight is only for the Black Butte High School handbook. If you're going to do something to that, there just needs to be a motion so that it can go across the handbooks, so that it's consistent. Otherwise, if you guys just vote on anything tonight, it'll only be the Black Butte. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. If you do a motion, please make sure you include all the handbooks.
Does it need to come back, or can it just be passed now?
No, you can make a motion with the amended language identified. So you first and foremost, if there is a motion that stands on the language right now, the response is no. The motion has to be, what's the new amended language that you want, and it to be across all handbooks. You absolutely can.
Okay, sounds good. That's what I just didn't know the procedure of how that would go.
Yeah, you can make the motion with the amended language across all handbooks.
So Dr. Seppi, if you'll make the motion with the language
I would like to make a motion to amend the policy. Sorry, I can't remember which one.
all of them.
Policy presented to go across all handbooks to correspond with what the contract and procedure is utilized for all handbook changes related to policy. I don't remember which one it is. KD, I think is it? Or no, not KD. Sorry, it's the handbook policy. Sorry, excuse me.
Okay.
And it was horrible. I'm sorry.
Do you want him to say it again?
Do I need to say it again? Like, if I could get a script, this would be really helpful. I would like to make a policy start again. I would like to make a amendment to the student handbook so that it may include the same language as proposed in the contract given to the students for the credit recapture program. Is that good enough? Super.
So my question would be is, do you want it just to cite the language or do you want it to be the language from the?
I would like it to be the language. See, I didn't do it right again. So that's okay. I would like it to be that language so that it is actually in the handbook, please.
We can read the language so you guys have it for your vote. Ben's getting it real quick. That's what I need, so I make sure I get what you guys vote.
I know that they have given it to us at one point, but I would mess it up, obviously.
So the language that would be added is students who receive a grade between 40% and 59% will have the opportunity to recapture their quarter. Students will need to take the initiative with their teacher to start the process.
I think that's great.
Okay, so the motion's been made. We have a second by Mr. Sorensen. Any further discussion on this? Not hearing any, so all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Excellent, motion approved. Okay, let's move on to item AA, approval of the 2025-2026 Human Resource Generalist, Communication Coordinator, Insurance Specialist salary schedule. May I please have a motion to approve those salary schedules? Thank you, Mr. Sorensen. Is there a second? Thank you, Dr. Franks. Any discussion on the salary schedule? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. We'll move on to item 9A, approval of the additional school bus routes for the 2025-2026 school year. If I can please have a motion. Thank you. It's been moved by Dr. Franks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sorensen. Discussion. I will lead off, and Dr. Libby, if you want to add, but it's my understanding that this is purely for some safety reasons where school bus locations might have not been like physically the safest location up over a hill or something like that where visibility wasn't the best. So that's all that this is in pertinence to. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Nope.
Just up here in case there's questions on it.
I thought he was ignoring you.
Nope, sorry.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Great. Okay, we'll move on to item 10A, approval of policy DJ. If I can please have a motion to approve policy DJ as presented. It's been moved by Mr. Sorensen. Is there a second? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Thank you. Second by Dr. Franks. Any discussion on policy DJ? Please.
So this goes to Dr. Libby. I had already sent an email to him about we're specifically striking the $50,000 limit that used to go through the board. And I had gotten a response that it was per state statute, there was already things in there. And specifically the response was that it was that the $50,000 restricted goods and things of that nature, but not services. I was unaware of that. And is that pretty standard procedure across the state? I have no idea.
Yes, it is. It's standard. Most of the statute, and I think if Mr. Gonzalez is still with us, the statute has really clear limitations on what has to go to the board and what doesn't. So the language was kind of repetitive because we already follow state statute. In talking to Mr. Gonzalez earlier today, we actually want to take those statutes and build the regulation out so that it is very clear for buildings and departments as to what the priorities are or what the requirements are for each of the different levels of funding. So things below certain portions can be approved by the chief financial officer or the superintendent. But once you meet a threshold, it has to go to the board. So we're not just talking about just cost, but also like where does it go in construction? What's the limits there? Where does it go for RFPs? What's the limits there? So that it's a really clear regulation instead of having to kind of search through all of the policies. We're just going to have one that says, here's all the guidelines.
Thank you. I just want clarification on it. Thank you.
Question I'd have is, an old-fashioned accounting trick is to break things into multiple transactions. What controls do we have to make sure that?
It's explicit in statute. I mean, it says right there in statute, you cannot do that.
It's
How do-
absolutely against the law.
Well, I totally, I get that, but is there, I mean, do our auditors, are they checking those kind of things? Is that part of the audit, or how do we?
It's been checked in the past through the approval process. Like me, my staff was approving.
Yeah, we're really clear that if you have a project and there's a cost limitation to it and it's the same project, it has to go together. It gets caught really quick, either by myself or through chief financial officer. Like that's something that we look for. You can't break costs up to skirt your responsibility for taking it through like a bid process or getting permissions from the board. It's just, no.
Further discussion, questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor of approving policy DJ, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry, the delay. Motion passes. Now we'll move on to the approval of policy KD, public participation at board meetings as presented. If I may please have a motion. It's been moved by Mr. Sorensen. If I can have a second.
Second.
It's been seconded by Ms. Schumacher. We'll open discussion. So I'm going to ask you guys to bear with me. I have a lot to share. I did try to present this at the last board meeting that this was a legal change to the policy, not one that the board has suggested or requested. So I'm going to try to give you some context to why, and then also address some of the comments and questions that have been brought up, but it's lengthy, so be prepared. So why is the board considering the changes to this policy? The Pollock Court emphasized that board meetings are not open forums for airing individual grievances, but are instead structured opportunities to conduct public business and receive community input on school policies and programming. Restrictions based on topic relevancy and confidentiality support that purpose and are legally permissible, provided they are applied objectively and without regard to viewpoint. The policy was not drafted to permit viewpoint discrimination. Negative and positive comments are allowed as long as they are relating to public board business. District Legal Counsel has cautioned against prohibitions based on tone, such as bans on disparaging or negative speech, as those could constitute unlawful viewpoint discrimination. The policy was not drafted to permit such prohibitions. It also does not permit prohibition simply because an employee name is mentioned. It does prohibit discussion on confidential personal matters that are evaluative information. The proposed revisions clarify roles and expectations in light of recent Wyoming court decisions, which reaffirm that board meetings are a limited public forum. A limited forum naturally lends itself to reasonable, viewpoint-neutral rules that keep comments relevant to board business, protect confidentiality, and allow meetings to run smoothly. These revisions help ensure public comment continues to serve its intended purpose to inform the board's work, while private or confidential concerns are addressed through the proper channels. So what is board business? Board meetings are where the board conducts its official business, and it is held in public so that the community can observe and provide input. Public comment is part of that process, but it is not a forum for directing or managing the board's work. The focus must remain on issues of governance, policies, programs, and district operations. Board meetings are meetings of the board held in public. They are not meetings for the public to run the board's work. Public comment is intended to inform the board's governance on policies, programs, and operations. Public comment provides input, not debate. It helps the board hear community perspectives, but it is not designed for back and forth or dialogue during the meeting. The board's business is governance. That means setting policy, approving budgets, and overseeing the superintendent so that the district operates lawfully and effectively. It does not mean micromanaging administrators, supervising individual employees, or deciding individual student matters. Those responsibilities belong to administration. Individual issues follow established processes. When individual concerns arise or when initial channels are not sufficient, there are complaint processes that can come to the board through the proper path. So we've heard different comments like, this policy will silence parents. These revisions do not silence parents. They clarify how concerns can be raised through proper channels. Governance issues, policies, programs, operations belong in public comment. Student-specific or personnel matters must go through the complaint process where they can be addressed fully and fairly. This protects privacy and ensures all voices are heard in the proper way. When discussion shifts to personnel or individual matters, it takes time away from the board's responsibility to address district governance. A reminder that the purpose of public comment at board meetings is not back and forth, it's structured input on board business. We've heard the comment, FERPA does not apply to parents. This is just a gag rule. It's true, FERPA applies to schools, not parents. But if student-specific issues are raised in this meeting, the district cannot respond without risking a FERPA violation. That leaves a one-sided and incomplete record. To protect privacy and integrity, individual student matters must be raised through confidential processes. This policy ensures that happens while still allowing parents to speak on broader issues. It also prevents inadvertent public discussions of other students. As mentioned, there are many ways for parents to discuss individual student matters. The comment's been made about this reducing transparency and accountability. Transparency means that the board's work is done in public. These revisions support that by keeping discussion on matters the board can act on, policies, operations, and governance. Confidential student or personnel matters cannot be addressed here without violating legal confidentiality requirements and undermining transparency. This policy strengthens accountability by ensuring concerns are addressed in the right way. This policy does not stop parents from raising concerns about policy, safety, or programming. It only requires that comments be framed at the level of board governance, policies, programs, and operations. Anyone is free to be critical of those, and that criticism will not be restricted. You can always ask yourself, how can I rephrase this? Another comment's been made, parents should be able to share their child's experience to show a bigger problem. Personal stories matter, and they can inform broader issues. But airing private grievances about individual students or staff in public comment is not appropriate. Parents may share concerns with administrators or through formal complaints when they can be addressed fully. Public comment must stay focused on governance. I guess there's been a couple of other things. I'll get to those if you guys have questions about them. Board leadership is shutting down tough conversations. These revisions are not about avoiding hard topics. They are about ensuring those conversations happen in the right way. Criticism of board policy or programming is always welcome here, but individual grievances must go through that confidential complaint process so that they can be fully addressed. The purpose is to ensure the board remains focused on its public business. The policy doesn't limit voices, it protects the integrity of the forum so all voices can be heard on relevant issues in the right way. Some things around like limiting serious allegations, misconduct, Title IX, mental health, hazing, etc. The board takes issues of student safety very seriously. Allegations involving sexual misconduct, hazing, or mental health are addressed through federal and state law requirements, including Title IX and through the district's established investigative and support processes. Public comment is not the forum where those investigations can be conducted or resolved. Anyone who believes there has been a violation of law or policy has the right to use the established complaint procedures, which ensure due process and confidentiality for all involved. As I mentioned, there's a few other things I can address if you'd like to, but I think the point is this. What needs to be understood is that we are not in a place to respond to individual matters. Individual matters have a process in which they have to be followed. And if that process breaks down, there's a complaint process to address that. That's where those need to be handled. The public forum is not the place to do that. The public forum is the place to discuss things that the board does have governance over, which I reiterated those several times. So this change, as I set out in the beginning, is from our district legal counsel around those rules and regulations. I hope I've addressed that for you guys, but if you have further questions on that, I'll do my best. The other option is to table this motion, in which case Carrie and George could come and have a conversation, but this is provided by them. So are there any other questions, comments, discussion? Go ahead, Dr. Seppi.
Oh, and please don't think that I'm for or against this. I'm not trying to tip my hand one way or another, because I understand it from both sides. Like, understand as a public, I understand where concerns are, but I can also see this as a district concern as well. So don't feel like I am for or against either side. I'm just curious about an open discussion on this. I asked this and I never got an answer previously. Is there any other districts that have changed this? So I did a search, Sheridan number 2, where all of this started. Looks like our language is pretty much copy and pasted from theirs. But other than that, I couldn't find any.
So I had that conversation with our district council today. They believe there are a couple that are in pursuit of this as well.
Okay.
But of the ones mentioned, we are kind of next in line, and it's really our district council's advice on how to protect itself from liability.
Sounds good. That's why I was just curious if anybody else had done this, because I mean, it's a tough line to toe here.
It is.
Both sides. Because I do think the public needs to be able to provide their feedback. That's what we signed up for as board members.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here for. But at the same time, we want a fair presentation of this. I think, and you guys can tell me I'm wrong, I think that part of the concern is from the public, at least from the people that I have talked to, is that if we're limiting this and they've gone through those other channels and they're not getting what they need, that they felt like this was their only other option. But there is another option. There is a complaint process that can go through. If we had a better way of presenting that to the public, I think, and showing them that there is because if your concern is, and I'm just using this hypothetically, so don't say your concern is with Dr. Libby. You've tried to address it through that channel. You're not getting what you want. And then they say, if I provide a complaint, does that just go to Dr. Libby? And that type of thing. And trying to understand that as a community, because I've tried to explain this, and quite honestly, I don't know it all. And that's where I think this discussion was had, because the concern, and rightfully so from the public, is are we trying to silence people, which is something that I won't go for. But at the same time, I don't want to see members of our district lambasted and we can't respond, because it's not helpful for anybody at that point either. And
Right.
so I'm curious as to if there's more information, if there's a way we can provide that to the public so that they understand that there's still other options, other avenues.
Yeah, that's a great question, because the grievance process, a lot of times when it gets to that level, doesn't, like, it falls off somewhere. So like in the example, it would be kind of, I've seen it happen before. I can't say that it's not. I've been in other places where there's been an issue with the superintendent, and then the process takes the grievance to the superintendent, which doesn't make any sense. I believe in our processes here is that if something runs through the channel in the chain of command, it either goes through the superintendent, and if there's still a concern, it either goes to human resources or goes to the board chair, and then the board chair is involved in that aspect. And that's when the board gets involved. Most of the grievance processes that I've actually been involved in, if it runs the gambit where it goes up through either human resources because it's a personnel issue, or it runs through somewhere else and it goes through the superintendent. If it gets through the superintendent and there's still an appeal process to it, like we still just don't agree, it just didn't finish, it moves to the board chair, and then the board chair and then the board itself gets involved. And if it involves an individual or a student, or it is a personnel issue, that's executive session where the conversation should occur instead of being at the microphone. So I think those processes do occur and those are in place. I think the other piece that needs to be mentioned in the Sheridan findings is that the findings were really related to the misuse of the policy. So it was used to silence folks that were speaking negatively about individuals, and in that instance, the superintendent. But in the other instances, when someone came to the microphone and spoke positively about something, the mic was open and the time was provided. So it was really the absolute inconsistency in how the policy was being presented. So what it does do is it puts us into a conundrum where the things that go to the board are really clear around policy, governance, operations, budget. But if you want to come and say something positive, the positivity has to be broad, right? Hey, this is going great. Transportation did a good job. We really appreciate the kids coming out on that first day. Great job.
It can't be evaluated.
It can't be evaluative, but if it's negative, you can still come to it and say, hey, I've really got some concerns around how transportation is going. I think this really needs to be looked into. Or there's a policy that I believe that's not being implemented to the appropriate fashion at this elementary school. I really believe that this needs to be looked into, or this really needs to be addressed. The broad avenues of those concerns can still be brought forward, but there's a process and a place for those to actually be addressed. So I don't think it necessarily silences. It puts some parameters on to make sure that everybody stays safe when they communicate.
And that was my thing, is that I don't think that we wanted to necessarily silence people. I know I didn't. I mean, because I've gotten some really good information where I'm like, I had no idea. And that's the thing, is that I'm not saying that we were. I'm just saying that, like, I wanted to discuss it. Like, if we go down this path, what are the positives and what are the negatives? And I think that that's great. And that's why I wanted to have the discussion of it. It's not that I was one way or the other. The other thing I will say, and then I'll stop talking, is that it puts a hard part on the board chair. And so for legally is what I'm concerned of, because you're now having to play this game of deciding what is okay and what is not. So that opens you up as board chair.
Let me clarify a few things the best I can. So number one, as far as the grievance policies that would make it to the board chair, I did have this question asked of me. If there is something that's like a conflict of interest, to where maybe it's a grievance policy about somebody who has how do I say this? Legitimate relationship, like spouses, for example, that might have a conflict of interest, or, they have a relationship, brother, sister, whatever. Then that's something that we would want to hire like a third party investigation to go forth and follow through with that grievance. And that would be the same thing for things that have broken down through the process or haven't been resolved through the superintendent. That's the direction the board chair should go with it. So there's that. Number two, it does make it hard. And so I'm going to offer a few points of suggestion. And this is just me talking, but it's my thought that, as I mentioned in here, how can we rephrase this? So if I had a situation where I had an individual circumstance, I'm going to look at what the board can do about it. The board has policy governance, right? So if I were coming here, I'm not to be silenced, but I'm going to suggest, this is where the policy failed me. This is where I would like to see a change in the policy. That's all okay still. And that's something that we can act on. What we can't do is comment back on a specific student, a specific situation. And the problem is allowing that conversation to be had. Other students can be brought into it. Staff members can be brought into it. And that's where it becomes a concern for us. So it's more about making sure that it's addressed in a way that we have some sort of say or governance in how we move forward with it, is what this language is suggesting. And you're right, it does make it very hard as board chair to police this, right? And so it's going to be something that I am looking for help on, number one. And number two, it's really going down the road of being evaluative. So if we can keep the comments not impacting somebody's performance, or positive or negative, right? Then the comments are appropriate and allowed. If they start going down that road, here's what I would like to suggest we're going to do. I will try to pause that speaker. Their time will pause. If any time's been wasted, similar to tonight, where that time wasn't used appropriately, we'll put that time back on the clock. And I will clarify what road we're headed down. If it's one that we don't think should be done in a public forum, we'll take it offline. If it's one that can continue to be done in that public forum because it's not, so I basically ask some clarifying questions to make sure that we're headed down the right road for the comments in the public forum. Does that make sense? That's the idea going forward on how we would handle this.
So I double checked too, just to make sure I wasn't speaking out of turn. We've got some board policies. KLD actually identifies, like, if a complaint comes forward and it either comes to a trustee or comes to the superintendent, the protocol that should be followed. If that complaint comes through that path, it pushes it back and it levels it back up to either human resources or it goes back to a trustee issue. So if something did come through, like there was a concern or a complaint, like Mr. Wright was talking about, like the misapplication of a policy itself, if it came through me and I still wasn't in it, didn't agree with it, and the parent or whoever brought it forward said, yeah, I still, Dr. Levy, I don't agree with you, that would immediately kick to the board, because the next person up the chain of command to me is the board. So we've got policy that kind of indicates as to where does that level up, where does it go? So it exists. I just don't think it's been relatively used. So
that was my thing, is maybe making the public aware of what our options are, so that it's not showing that we're just silencing it on the surface, but saying there is another route in which you can still voice your concerns. However, this is the route that it should take. And there's still going to be people that are against it because they want to be heard in the public. And there's routes for that. Like you can still have Facebook. You can still say what you want to say. I think the concern is that people were afraid that we were trying to silence it. And I think what we need to frame this as is that we have some processes for this, maybe make it more present for people to understand that this is the process, is how it would be utilized. And that was my concern, because I think there's some misunderstanding both sides, and I didn't understand it all either. So I don't blame either side for wanting their point of view to go through.
I think that's a great suggestion, and I think we could use like the next education corner to really highlight those processes and try to make everybody informed and on the same page.
And I also marked my notes from tonight. We had a statement from in public comment around some greater internal awareness and maybe some other internal ways to become more effective in the communication of concerns. And I'm most likely going to be reaching out to say, okay, so what are some more thoughts or ideas as to how we may be able to strengthen that, and whether or not it's just awareness of what the process is, or are there other ideas as to how this could move forward? We do have some pretty unique, they're not unique policies. Like Title IX has some incredibly long and tedious timeframes to it that draw some of those processes out just exceptionally long from decisions being made. And I think one of the pieces that's out there is there's not a really strong understanding of all the processes and timeframes, particularly in that policy, as to how it needs to be implemented. And it creates a significant amount of frustration for everyone involved. And I think that may also be something that could be discussed further, because Not knowing how that is supposed to be applied in the timeframes that are in it can create a significant amount of frustration in folks feeling as though they're not being heard, or decisions are being delayed, or people are dragging their feet. And almost every portion of that policy has a 10-day opportunity for a delay for comment. So I think we counted it up the first time. It's almost, I think it's 4 times it occurs. So you're already 40 days out from trying to get a decision based on whether something could potentially be a violation of that policy. And if you really are looking for something to occur because it was your child, 40 days is a long time to wait. And you may still not be all the way through the Title IX provisions for someone having another 10 days to ask more questions or ask clarification. So there's some frustration absolutely around some of these policies. And I don't think those policies are even clear to some of the individuals that have been involved with them. And I completely understand their frustration. So I think we could do a better job of communicating maybe some of those timelines, is to, even if someone gets involved in it, hey, here's the protocol. Like these are the timeframes that you need to be aware of as we move through this investigation. And there aren't any issues by putting those out because those timelines are actually set in federal statute.
Perfect. I think in the spirit of things, just so that we can get some of this information out, you had said we can entertain the idea of possibly tabling. And I'm not saying that I'm for or against this and we absolutely have to do it, but that may give us the ability to provide, like in the next education corner, this is so we can address some of those. We had multiple comments today about the stuff. Maybe we can quell some of those concerns by this is how the process would work. And I would be willing to say, let's do it that way. But I'm also fine if I can be wrong. That's fine. That's the point of having a board. That's great. People can say, no, we should push it through. And I'd say, okay, sounds good. We can vote. I would be willing to entertain a motion to table it until next time so that we can provide some of that extra information, which will hopefully gain us a little bit more support, that maybe that's what we're not trying to do, is stifle speech.
Yeah. Josh, did you want to?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. I know when we went to advocate for the new high school over at the legislature, they had a nice little sheet that kind of told you what your role was as a, commenting or whatever, a witness. In that case, like if we had something out there that might be able to, when people sign in that says, these are parameters, it was pretty strict about we don't need to be that strict necessarily, but it was helpful as someone who didn't know how to testify before a house hearing. It was nice to know what the rules were and the parameters were. So I don't know if we do something like that. And then also just a comment, just a year and a half ago, I was on this side here, your side, and I remember making a couple of comments, and sometimes they were related to specific people, and it's not satisfying to get an answer back that you can't talk about it, but being on this side, I've learned a lot about that there's 2 sides to every story, and probably more than 2 sides. I have a son who's had some issues, who's been the bully, and he stole kids' lunches and stuff. And I remember being frustrated that they couldn't tell me who the kids were, so I could buy them the lunch, make it right. But the more I learn, the more I understand that it's a challenge in this district, because you got students, you got teachers, and there's just a lot of people that you got to protect their confidentiality in their side. So.
Thank you. Mr. Gardner did try to come off mute, so Matt, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair Wright. I just kind of a couple clarifications for the public as much as anything. One, there is that the grievance policy to take things beyond the superintendent to the board does exist. It clearly hasn't been well, published or publicized, because it rarely ever happens. And we've had cases where items have been brought to public comment that probably fit that criteria. It was items where an individual wasn't satisfied with the answers or lack of answers they were getting through district administration, so they wanted to bring it to the board. And I would say to the public, the problem with bringing it to the public comment section of the board meeting is there is legally absolutely zero that we can do in that forum to help you. The other processes, which I've got some ideas we'll talk about later on as well for getting that information out there. But those other processes actually allow us to help. The other thing that I wanted to make clear, there are people who, as legal or administrative investigations are taking place, will choose to send emails to the Board of Trustees, updating or I guess furthering their complaint, and they probably do get frustrated that they're not getting answers from us on most of those occasions. Plain and simply, if there's ever a time that we may be called upon to act on that case, we cannot engage with you while the investigation is ongoing, no matter how much we may like to engage with you to follow up. Just know that if you're reaching out to us, I'm assuming that it's because you want support, or at least my involvement somewhere down the line should it come to that. And so I'm protecting my ability, and I believe the rest of the board as well, to actually be involved in that final determination should it go there, by not interacting with you while the investigation is ongoing.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
And just to emphasize with what Mr. Gardner was just saying, just to make that clear, the reason why we can't engage with you is because we become biased and we're no longer impartial. So we can't be a part of the final decision-making process when it comes down to, and/or if it comes to us. So although we may feel for you, although we may want to have those discussions, it makes it very hard for us. And there's also liability attached to that because there is a process. We as a sole individual, as a trustee, cannot just go and make decisions and/or demand or tell anyone on what they're going to do, whether it's an investigation or not. So that's the other part to kind of keep in mind with it. It doesn't matter for friends. It doesn't matter if we've never met. That's a big part of what, as a trustee, we have to keep in mind when it comes down to it as well.
So one last thing I want to point out, the new language, if you did see that, does reference some of those additional policies, KLD, the form KLD-E, and then the policy GBM for various other grievances. So to your point, I think we can absolutely do some better education around this, and we can talk about, how we reform this process or what that looks like. But we can either vote on this tonight or table it for a future discussion. So you guys have any personal opinions on whether we table it or move forward with the motion?
I don't think it hurts anything to move the discussion a little longer, just to make sure everybody's comfortable with the fact that we're not trying to move hastily and create the perception of trying to block people out, and know that we're, as trustees, we're willing to talk to anybody about what this policy looks like and our true desires to know what's going on in our district, but also to have some boundaries to be smart about it. So I would lean towards tabling for at least one meeting, just to make sure everybody knows we're not rushing it through.
Okay, so just to follow Robert's rules, if you'll make a motion to table it, and we'll proceed from there.
A motion to table the policy.
Okay, and is there a second? Dr. Seppi, thank you. All those in favor of tabling it till the next month board meeting? Oh, I'm sorry. Is there further discussion on the tabled motion? Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that motion passes. We'll move forward with the tabling that motion. Okay, item 11A, to be respectful of time, Cadence, are you trying to get out of here at any?
I think I'm gonna go.
So, hey,
I still have to drive
yeah,
home.
do you have anything else you want to say or add to the discussion?
Thank
Okay,
you,
thank you
guys.
so much for being here. Item 11A is the vacancy notice as of September 1st for information. And 11B is the Head Start Governing Board and Policy Council monthly report. With that, there is no topic for executive session tonight, so we will move past that, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's been moved by Ms. Schumacher, second. Second by Dr. Franks. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's closed at 8:32.